Hi everyone, my name is Nicole Ko and I'm talking about staffing and scheduling in my PowerPoint presentation. I hope you enjoy. Staffing and scheduling are important responsibilities of the nurse manager, and it provides critical aspects of nursing care. Adequate nurse staffing is key to improving patient care and nurse retention. Research has shown that decreasing nurse-to-patient ratio will show a higher patient survival rate. Another big factor in staffing scheduling is job satisfaction for nurses. And workload perception, feeling burnout can lead to job dissatisfaction and increases turnover and also decreases the quality of care. Magnet hospitals like Lancaster General show a higher nurse staffing level and show improved teamwork. My next two slides, I will talk about the goal of staffing and scheduling. You want to have a suitable mix of nursing in order to be able to care for your patients. Unfortunately, there is no one single solution to effectively staff a unit. I know on our unit, postpartum and couplet care, women and babies, we're usually staffed for a census of 23. Now that doesn't always work out. We can have days where we have all of a sudden over 40, a census of over 40, but then we have days where we have a census of maybe 13. And it is very unpredictable. You never know how many deliveries you're going to have in a day. So that's a really tough part to staff. The Joint Commission requires that organizations determine criteria for nurse staffing, and the hospital is required to provide adequate numbers of staff in order to meet those criteria. Leaders in nursing have developed evidence-based, data-driven staffing plans that can be budgeted for and communicated to nursing staff in order for everyone to be informed. In Texas, at the Midland Memorial Hospital, there was the 9 principles for improved nurse staffing created. What is that actually about? It helps to guide staffing. It is a flexible document and is geared at achieving optimal patient satisfaction and patient quality outcome. I will also talk a little bit about the patient classification system, also called the patient acuity system. It uses patients' needs to objectively determine the workload requirements and the staffing needs. So it's a system to help predict the best staffing. Patient classification data is collected midpoint for every shift and analyzed before the next shift by usually the unit nurse, staff, or supervisor to ensure appropriate numbers and the appropriate mixture of nurses. Using electronic health records can help predict nursing expertise a few days ahead. This system is actually called demand management. With this particular system, the manager is able to staff the next few days with more assurance than predicting from one shift to the next. Here I'm talking a little bit about determining nursing care hours. Patient workload trends are analyzed for each day of the week to determine staffing needs. Nursing care hours is also called NCH. These are specific standards in NCH for any kind of patient or even the patient care unit. It also needs to look at the patient workload and the trends. I thought it was like a really funny cartoon up there. It says, "No, I didn't tell a funny joke. All I asked was if I could take the holidays off." like that ever happens. Or no, I don't need to work on my time management. You need to work on your staffing ratios. The next slide, I'll talk about planning and determining. A nursing position is defined as a full-time equivalent, also known as FTE. One FTE equals 40 hours. The FTE can be filled by just one nurse or more than just one nurse, as long as they fill one FTE, meaning the full 40 hours. Different methods are available for determining numbers of FTEs required to staff a unit. That's why some units have a lot of like 0.5 FTEs or 0.8 instead of having like a full FTE. Depends on the patient care unit also. Say IICU needs a different staffing ratio than a surgical unit because of the workload and the complexity of the patients. In labor and delivery, you usually have one nurse to one patient. Now in couplet care, we can have up to 5 couplets. Not ideal, but it happens a few times. My next slide, I'll talk about scheduling. Nursing shortage and restriction in salary budgets made flexible scheduling more common. At Women's and Babies, we are using self-staffing scheduling, and they've been using that for quite some time now. I personally would say the staff is pretty satisfied with it. And with this type of scheduling, it gives everybody more freedom to choose the hours or to choose the days they really want to work. Nurses can and must go home early if patient workload decreases, and with this type of staffing or scheduling, we usually are getting a phone call and getting asked to reschedule if the census are low. Other kind of scheduling could be weekend staffing plan, and automated scheduling. And there are also, besides the self-staffing, there's shared staffing, which means 2 people share one full-time schedule. And there's open management, where the staff can schedule additional shifts beyond their regular shift. And some hospital uses open shift to decrease agency staff and to improve the staff morale. Then there's the combined staffing, which usually includes 8 and 12-hour shifts. Those have a few pros and a few cons. One of the pros are better meets patient care during busy time. It improves staff satisfaction and it maximizes availability of the nurses. Now the cons could be disruption of care and consistency. The challenge for nurse managers are to communicate to everyone in a timely manner. And then there's the perception of nurses not working full-time, even though they are, but they're working like 3 days in a row, but then have like maybe 4 days off, which isn't a bad thing. In my research, I found an article from Nikitas. She explained in her article that using data-driven technology has aided in the reduction in nurse overtime hours, decreased patient errors, nurse injuries, and turnover. The growing scientific evidence and research reveals nurse staffing has a significant effect on patient outcomes. And I truly believe in that too. The other article I found was that they were talking about the importance of brainstorming and coming together to reflect on nursing staffing issues. Now, those issues actually exist since the 1950s through the early 2000s. The ANA invited members of the 2012 task force to work again with the ANA to update the principle of nurse staffing. During the process, the task force realized the opportunity to bundle several important documents. They just recently came out with the revised principle of nurse staffing from the ANA. It's a little video from the ANA. I hope you enjoy that.
As an organization, support the nurses.
On this website here, I found a really interesting fact sheet, and I would recommend to go to that website. You can, that's a hyperlink here, so you can just click on it. It's about safe staffing, critical for patients and nurses. And it is from the Department for Professional Employees. It, like I said, it is very interesting, and I would definitely read over that. Very informative. Now, the future of nursing requires also some action, and you are the one who can help as well. Staffing solutions must evolve to cope with the full weight of the healthcare system, and flexible staffing plans are just the beginning. Organizations must be held accountable for their operations, and public reporting is critical in ensuring this transparency. The future of nursing. I believe that with our voice, we hopefully can help with the safe staffing ratio, and we just have to make sure we raise our voices and don't just always go with the flow. I hope you enjoyed my presentation, and here are my references. Thank you very much.